everyone, we're on page 238 in the textbook. We're going to do activity B and activity C. So these are practicing the different past tenses that we have been talking about. And the four past tenses, we're focusing on our simple past, past continuous, which is also known as past progressive, past perfect, and past perfect continuous or progressive. So before we do these activities, I suggest that you look at the video where we go through these four past tenses, and also make sure you've looked at the video for exercise A on the previous page. So that's 237. Okay, so we've been through these verbs a few times. It should start to get a little easier. So here we have to circle the correct options to complete the paragraph below. So there are two choices, two different verb tenses, and you have to decide which one is the most appropriate in the situation. So here it says, on October 1st, Walter Mitchell, a young emergency helicopter pilot, so my subject is Walter Mitchell. What did he do? The answer is he had just completed 3 months of rescue training. Okay, how do I know it should be had just completed instead of just completed? Because this is something that happens first. So especially if I read through the paragraph first, which hopefully you did, then I would know that all these events happen, but he has had his training before. So here's my little scribble timeline over here. This is now, future, and the past, but a lot of things happen in the past. So the first thing that happened is he completes training back here, okay? And then he gets a wake-up call, and then all the other events, but his training happened first. So something that happened before other things, I know it's going to be had completed. Had just completed 3 months of rescue training. Okay, now we're talking about a habit, something that happened in the past. There was a habit. Okay, he usually arrived. I usually ate breakfast. We usually finished school at 3 o'clock. So habits in the past, we used ed, simple past. He usually arrived at work at 6 a.m. But this morning, again, we're going to use past perfect because what happened? He received an emergency call. So this happened first, and then the other events in our story are going to happen next. But this morning, so before he arrived, he had received his first emergency call at 5 a.m. Okay, before he usually arrived at work. He got a call at home before that at 5 a.m. 2 men had been hiking, so this is a process that happened before, had been hiking in the mountains and were lost. One of the men, now we're talking about specific actions in the past. What happened? Fell. So they had been climbing and somebody fell. It's an action, simple past, that interrupts a progressive action. Okay, he fell and was injured. The situation was dangerous as it was snowing. So usually weather we talk about in progressive because it's something that doesn't just happen, the snow doesn't just go boom and fall to the ground. It usually happens for several hours. So the snow was sorry, let me try again. As it was snowing. This was Michael's first real emergency and he was afraid. So we've got was and was here, simple past. The fear was making it difficult for him to think clearly. So now we're not in the training and the falling in the mountains. Now we're talking about what happens later. He gets the wake-up call, and now he's at work. So the fear was making, in the simple past and the past progressive, closer to the present now, it was making it difficult for him to think clearly. When Mitchell got to the helicopter, now we've got a sequence of events. What does he do? This is my sequence of events. He does this, then he does this, then he does this. He sat down, got ready to fly. During his training, now we're talking about the training, remember which happened way back here, he had learned a breathing technique to help him overcome his fear. So what did he do? Simple past. Now we're talking more when he's in the helicopter. This is all stuff that happens later. He breathed in slowly for 4 counts, held his breath, this is all simple past, for 4 counts, then breathed out, simple past, slowly for 4 counts. So this is a sequence of events here. After doing this a few times, he felt ready to face the day's challenges. So all of this part of the story happens here. Not in the past, but in the past that we're actually telling the story about. Whew. Good job, everybody. That was tricky. All right, let's take a look at C. It says, complete each sentence with a suitable past tense form of the verbs in parentheses. So we have Gerlinda and Ralph. These were the people from the first reading we did, climbing the mountain. Gerlinda and Ralph had climbed together for several years before they decided to climb K2. So they decided to climb K2. That's something that happened in the past. It's an action that is simple past because it's something you decided. Like in that moment, they decided, ED. But before then, they had climbed for several years. So we're going to use had in the past tense and then ED. So this is the past, and this is the past. Number 2, Gerlinda had attempted to climb K2 6 times, goodness, before she finally succeeded on August 23rd, 2011. Now, succeeded is simple past because she did it at a specific time in the past and it's over. But before that, the past, she had attempted. So this is a series of events, 6 times. It's not ongoing. She wasn't doing it for 6 years. She had one attempt, and then another attempt, and then another attempt. This is a series. So, past perfect. Tommy Heinrich was climbing up the mountain when an avalanche hit him. So this is the process. He was climbing up the mountain when an avalanche hit him. So that's going to be progressive. It's going to be past progressive. So he was, I'm going to use was here instead of were because it's he. Climbing, ing, because it's progressive. And then hit, simple past, it's irregular because it's something that happened that interrupts. Okay, number 4, Gerlinda had been waiting at the summit for 15 minutes when Maksut and Vasily got to the top. So they got to the top. This is simple past. It's something that happened once. It's over in the past. But before that, she had been, verb to be there, been waiting. So what verb tense is this? This is the past perfect continuous or progressive. So it's the past. So before he got to the mountain, she was doing this. But we're using progressive instead of simple because to emphasize the fact that she was there for a while doing that. Good job, everybody. Excellent. All right, the next video, we're going to look at page 239, so make sure you've done those activities.